Pleasant afternoon to everyone. Before I'm going to start, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Juve Ilumba Sevilla. This afternoon, I'm going to discuss about validity and reliability. And here are the following objectives. First, the quality of the instrument used in research is very important. For the conclusion, researchers draw are based on information they obtained using these instruments. Accordingly, researchers use a number of procedures to ensure that the inferences they draw based on the data they collect are valid and reliable. Validity. The term validity, as used in research, refers to the appropriateness, meaningfulness, or of any inferences as a researcher draw based on data obtained through the use of an instrument. Validity is the most important idea to consider when preparing or selecting an instrument for use. One interpretation of this conceptualize of validity has been the rest publishers no longer have a responsibility to provide evidence of validity. It is one thing to collect information from people. We do this all the time, such names, address, birth dates, shoe sizes, car license numbers, and so on. But unless we can make inferences that mean something from the information we obtain, if it is of little use. We have three types of evidence of validity. First, content-related evidence of validity. It refers to the content and format of the instrument. The content and format must be consistent with the definition of the variable and the sample of the subjects to measured. For example, a mathematics teacher develops an end-of-semester algebra test for her class. The test should cover every form of algebra that was taught in the class. If some types of algebra are left out, then the result may not be accurate indication of students' understanding of the subject. Similarly, if she includes questions that are not related to algebra, the results are no longer a valid measure of algebra knowledge. Then we have the criterion-related evidence of validity. It refers to the relationship between scores obtained using the instrument and the scores obtained using or more other instruments or measures, which is often called a criterion. For example, a university professor creates a new test to measure applicants' English writing ability. To assess how well the test really does measure students' writing ability, she finds an existing test that is considered a valid measurement of English writing ability and compare the result when the same group of students take both tests. If the outcomes are very similar, the new test has high criterion validity. Then we have the construct-related evidence of validity. It refers to the nature of the psychological construct or characteristic being measured by the instrument. The broadest of the three of evidence for validity that we are considering. Example, there is no objective, observable entry called depression that we can directly. Based on existing psychological research and theory, we can depression based on a collection of symptoms and indicators such as low self-confidence and low energy levels. Reliability. It refers to the consistency of the score obtained. How consistent they are for each individual from one administration of an instrument or to another and from one set of items to another. It defined as the probability that a product, systems, or service will perform its intended functions adequately for a specified period of time, or will operate in a defined environment without failure. For example, a test designed to measure typing ability. If the test is reliable, we would expect a student who receives a high score the first time he takes the test to receive a high score the next time he takes the test. The score would be probably not be identical, but they should be close. We have types of reliability. First, test, retest, reliability. It involves giving a group of people the same test more than once over a set period of time. In this assessment, the research method and sample group stay the same, but when you administer the method to the group changes. If the result of the test are similar each time you give it to the sample group, that shows your research method is likely reliable and not influenced by external factors like the sample group's mode or the day of the week. For example, give a group of college students a survey about their satisfaction with their school's parking lots on Monday and again on Friday. Then, compare the results to check the retest reliability. Then, we have the parallel forms of reliability. When using parallel forms of reliability to assess your research, you may give the same group of people multiple different types of tests to determine if the results stay the same when using different research methods. The theory behind this assessment is that consistent results across research methods ensure each method is looking for the same information from the group and the group is behaving similarly for each test. Example: in marketing, you may interview customer about a new product, observe them using the product and give them survey about how easy the product is to use and compare this result as a parallel form of reliability test. Then we have the inter-rater reliability. With inter-rater reliability testing, you may have multiple people performing assessments on a sample group and comparing their results to avoid influencing factors like an assessor's personal bias, mode, or human error. If most of the results from different assessors are similar, it's likely the research method is reliable and can produce usable research because the assessors gathered the same data from the group. Example: multiple behavioral specialists may observe a group of children playing to determine their social and emotional development and compare notes to check for the inter-rater reliability. Then we have the internal consistency reliability. There are two typical ways to check of internal consistency reliability. One of these techniques is split half reliability, a test by splitting a research method, delivering both halves separately to a sample group and comparing the result to ensure the method can produce consistent result. If the results are consistent, then the result of the research method are likely reliable. The other internal consistency test checks for average inter-item reliability. With this assessment, you administer sample group multiple resting items like with parallel forms reliability testing and calculate the correlation between the result of each of the method results. With this information, you calculate the average and use the number of determine if the results are reliable. For example, uh, you may give company's cleaning department a questionnaire about which cleaning product worked the best, but you split it in a half and give each half to the department separately and calculate the correlation to test for split half reliability. We have this function between reliability and validity. Reliability and validity always depend on the context in which instrument is used. Depending on the context, an instrument may or may not yield reliable or consistent scores. If the data is unreliable, they cannot lead to the valid, legitimate of inferences. We have the bullseye in each target represents the information that is desired. Each dot represents a separate score obtained with the instrument. A dot in the bullseye indicates that the information obtained or the score is the information research desires. One of my favorite metaphor for the relationship between reliability is that of the target. Think of the center target as the concept that you are trying to measure. Imagine that for each person you are measuring, you are taking a shot at the target. If you measure the target perfectly for a person, you are hitting the center of the target. If you don't, you are missing the center. It means the more you are off for that person, the farther you are far from the center. Then we have reliability coefficient. Reliability estimates provides researchers with an idea of how much variation to expect. It expresses a relationship between scores of the same individuals on the same instrument and two different types or on two parts of the same instrument. We have the table here. Methods of checking validity and reliability. Validity means truthfulness. We have the method and the procedure. First, content-related evidence. It obtains expect judgment. Then we have the criterion-related evidence. It relates to another measure of the same variable. Then contract-related evidence. In the procedure, it assesses evidence on prediction made from theory. Then we have the reliability. Reliability, which means consistency. We have the method, the content, the time travel, and the procedure. Retest, the content is identical, but the time travel varies. The procedure is it gives identical instrument twice. In equivalent form, the content is different, time interval none, and it gives the two form of instrument. In equivalent form or retest, content is different, time interval varies, and it gives two form of instrument with time interval between. Then we have internal consistency. The content is different, the time interval is none, and the procedure is to divide instrument into half and score each of our Cooler-Richardson approach. Then, scoring observer agreement. The content is identical, time interval is none. The procedure is to compare scores obtained by two or more observers or scorers. Then we have the validity and the reliability in research. Reliability and validity are concepts used to evaluate the quality of research. They indicate how well a method, technique, or test measures something. Reliability is about the consistency of a measure, and validity is about the accuracy of a measure. It's important to consider reliability and validity when you are creating your research design, planning methods, and writing results, especially in quantitative research. Then we have here the reliability versus validity. What does it tell you? In reliability, the extent to which the result can be reproduced when the research is repeated under the same condition, while in validity, the extent to which the result really measure what they are supposed to measure. How is it assessed? In reliability, by checking the consistency of results across time, across different observers, and across parts of the test itself, while in validity, by checking how well the result correspond to established theories and other measures of the same concept. How do they relate? In reliability, a reliable measurement is not always valid. The result might be reproducible, but they are not necessarily correct. While in validity, a valid measurement is generally reliable. If a test produces accurate result, they should be reproducible. Ensuring validity. If you use a score or ratings to measure variation in something, such as psychological traits, levels of ability, or physical properties, it's important that your result reflect the real variation as accurately as possible. Validity should be considered in the earliest stage of your research when you decide how you will collect your data. Ensuring reliability. Reliability should be considered throughout the data collection process. When you use a tool or technique to collect data, it's important that the results are precise, stable, and reproducible. We have here the reliability and validity in a thesis. We have the section and how to discuss. In literature review, what have other researchers done to devise and improve methods that are reliable and valid? In methodology, how did you plan your research to ensure reliability and validity of the measures used? This includes that the chosen sample set and size, sample preparation, external conditions, and measuring techniques. In results, if you calculate reliability and validity, state these values alongside your main results. In the discussion, this is the moment to talk about how reliable and valid your results actually were. Were they consistent and they did reflect true values? If not, why not? In conclusion, if reliability and validity were a problem for your findings, it might be helpful to mention this here. Before I will end my discussion, let me leave you with a quote. You will face many defeats in life, but never let yourself be defeated. By Maya Angelou. Thank you and good day.